Can you believe it? What sort of idiot puts the brake discs on backwards? That'll be me then. Don't forget to like and subscribe. More videos of me messing the job up and having to do it twice. Better roll the titles. Welcome back. This is part 2 of our Alfa Romeo project. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's all very important to help us grow and do lots of interesting projects. This is our 2005 Alfa Romeo GT. I paid just £275 for this car. It was bought from Copart from the salvage auctions, although it doesn't have a salvage title. In the last episode, I did manage to get the car running, but when I took it for an MOT, it had a long list of failures, including loads of holes in the sills, which were structural parts of the bodywork and therefore needed to be repaired. If you're wondering why, when you took your Alfa Romeo GT for its annual technical inspection, that it failed miserably on the fact that the sills were hanging off and red rusty, this is the reason why. Alfa Romeo put these soundproofing bags filled with a sponge inside the sills, and they're basically rotted from the inside out. I've managed to get these from Poland. It's a non-genuine sill, and they're cut to the shape. They have this profile in here. It's a very unusual shaped sill. It's got this notch in it which sits underneath the car, and it's curved to take the shape. It's not a perfect fit, and it's quite tricky to get it right and make it look really good. So for the moment I'm not fitting these sills. I'm going to fit them when the car is laid up in the winter next year. It's at this point we need to get under the car and see what we're up against. As you can tell, when you get to this level, you can already see the rust that's underneath. And some previous owner had fillered the rust. Look at that there. That is to sort of disguise the holes and get it through a previous MOT. When I started clearing away the filler and pulling off the paint and some of the poor quality bits of metal, this is what I was left with. And as you can tell, there's probably more hole than there is sill on this side. Well, these sills are pretty bad, and as you can see, I'm going to have to cut them out quite high because the bubbling there means there's a bad bit of metal behind. And the same again just there. Now I think for now I'm going to cut them, and I want to cut them lower than when I'm going to fit the new sills back. I'm going to use the top of that triangle and the top of the one that's further back here. There, I'm going to use that as a line, and that's where I'm going to cut. Right, I'm putting a spirit level across the 2 points that we pointed out on the sill, and this is in order to get a nice straight line drawn on in the red pen, and then I'm going to cut with a very thin grinding disc along that line, and it should give me quite a neat cut, and it'll be a neat join when I join back on. Now there's nothing more annoying than the sound of a grinder, so I'm going to turn the volume down on the video and I'm going to play you a little bit of music, and you can watch the sparks flying. Right, I've nipped down to my local steel stockholder here, and as you can see, these guys are amazing. They've got everything you could possibly want in the way of metal. This is Camp Steel in Birmingham. They're a very good old school Birmingham company. When we go underneath the car, you can see I'm most of the way through putting this horrible plate over the top of here and welding it all the way down. For MOT purposes, they like to see it welded solidly. It's a 100mm strip that I've used that just covers all the discrepancies, and it covers the groove and everything else. There's a couple of little patches where the 100mm strip wasn't sufficient. I've had to bodge those a little bit. I'm going to paint it silver and hopefully it won't show too badly. And then later in the year I'm going to do the sills properly, because it's a car that warrants having a bit of time and money spent on it. It is a pretty thing. Right, I've already made one of these, which is a sort of fake sill for the Alfa Romeo. On the driver's side I managed to plate it over because it wasn't that bad. On the passenger side though, the sill is completely destroyed by rust. So I've made this already, because that's not the full length of the sill, that's only half. It's quite hard to make the whole thing in one go, so I'm making it in two pieces. I've now got to try and bend this piece of steel to match this shape here. Challenge, doing it freehand. This is the part of the video where I'm going to have to speed up the action, because I'm sure you don't want to watch a bloke bending a piece of metal for 5 minutes. If you do have to go down this route of making your own sills, it's all about patience and using a couple of clamps and a bit of wood and your bare hands actually, but you can kind of form it into the shape of the sill. You can't, however, unless you're very talented, which I'm not of course, make the groove that's underneath, and that's why I'm going to replace these temporary sills at some stage with the two that I bought from Poland. The Polish sills are very good and probably the only ones you'll be able to buy anyway, so I do suggest you get them and fit them, because they are just a better solution to mending your Alfa GT than what I'm attempting here. But of course this is quicker, and I don't have to worry about the quality because I know they've got to come off again. So that's why I'm kind of rushing through this, and hopefully I'll get the car MOT'd. So I've had 2 weeks away from the Alfa Romeo, and now I'm back, and the last little bit I've got to do before it's MOT is this little bit of sill. It's been chopped out already, and I've just got to patch in here and weld all the way along this joint here, put a bit of filler on, and hopefully that will be MOTable then. So that's today's job. So it never really goes to plan, does it? Because I was just about to start welding and the welder ran out of wire, so I had to then go down to the shop, buy another roll of wire, fit it back in the welder, and by that time I'd almost run out of time to do any work, so we had to leave it till the following week. So the end result of these sills, I cut the straight line and I tucked this part, which was the homemade sill, I tucked that up underneath and tacked it along like that with very small tack, so we didn't distort the shape of the sill. And then, because I had to do it in 2 pieces, there's also a join just there. So it's about 6 months since we had that disastrous MOT failure, and I've managed to repair the 2 sills, and I've managed to tick off all the other items that were on the MOT, and the car is now ready to go back, resubmit for an MOT, and we'll see how we get on later today. I'm not playing this bit of video backwards. When I turned up for my appointment at the MOT station, the front entrance was blocked by a car that had broken down, so I had to reverse onto the ramp, much to the amusement of the MOT testers, who can probably do this blindfolded. I'm not quite as competent. Obviously I'm a little bit nervous at this point because the car is ready to be scrutinised by the MOT tester, and there's always the possibility that you put right all the things on the list and they find something else. So the MOT tester is sending it up in the air. He's going to check all the stuff underneath. He has to check the horn as well, because we left it so long since the first test. This is actually a fresh test, it's not a retest. He's going to check all the stuff underneath, all of my welding, and he has to test all the items that it previously passed on, and basically he's got to ascertain that this car is safe to use on the road. But as it happened in this case, I didn't have anything to worry about, because all the structural things, they were happy with the welding, they were happy with all the repairs, and the suspension was fine. So it's off the ramp at this stage, and it's only got the emissions and the brake test to do. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that both of those are okay. Got to say, I'm so chuffed. Well, I'm really pleased. I've got the Alfa Romeo through its MOT. This car is now road legal and I can use it, so I've got a few other things to do. The things, I've got this little thing to paint up and put on. I have got the part. There's a few other things, a couple of rips in the seats where the stitching's come undone, so we're going to try and put those right as well. We are going to export it, and one of the things you need to do when you export a car to Europe is to change the direction of the headlights. We've got to find some left-hand drive headlights, put those in. Right, I'm having a little drive of the Alfa Romeo around the block. I've not really driven this car very much. I've had it for 7 months and I've probably done about 6 miles. It is nice to drive already. I'm doing, wow, 30 miles an hour, which is the limit in this road. It's quite smooth, I've got to say, and it has a bit of power when you put your foot down. I'm not thrashing it around, don't really know it yet. I know I've still got a hole in the oil cooler, but it took me a while to get used to the gearbox, because the gears are quite close together, I found, and I kept hitting the wrong gear. But when you get used to where they are, it's good. They slip in very nicely. Not sure about the clutch yet. I'm going to give that a bit of benefit of the doubt at the moment. So far, it's running very smooth. It's got a nice smooth diesel sort of sound. British roads, as you can tell, bumpy. The camera's wobbling all over the place. Ow! Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting this out on the Autobahn in Germany and giving it a bit of a blast.